Hello and welcome to the wild world of frogs. This week we will be taking a look at the wonderful world of frogs. Did you know that there are over 5,000 species of frogs? That's a lot of different frogs. Frogs come in all different shapes and sizes, from the glass frog with translucent skin to the wood frog of North America that freezes into a frogsicle in the winter and defrosts in the spring. Frogs are fascinating, but don't take it from me. Let's go to Elisha Shelton, who is interviewing a frog field expert.
Thank you, Reina. I'm out here with a frog expert by the name of Malagasy Gore. We are out here in the search for frogs and...
Shh, Crikey, crikey, shh. I hear something. No, wait, it's just a fly. Alright, keep going, man. Keep going.
So, Mrs. Gore, what made you decide that you wanted to come out here and study frogs all day?
Well, I'll tell you what, man. Frogs are wonderful, dangerous creatures. I suppose I enjoy the thrill of watching them.
Dangerous? But we don't have any poisonous dart frogs here.
Oh, no. They're much scarier than that. With glowing red eyes and horrid fangs, and they grow like 10 feet tall.
I don't think what you're seeing frogs. That sounds more like a monster.
No, I knows a frog when I see one. Crikey. Speaking of which, you might want to quiet down, because we're getting close to frog territory.
Look out behind you.
What? Whoa! Oh
Uh, Elisha? Elisha? It looks like we lost connection to Elisha Shelton. Well, let's go to our next interview with local frog expert, Charles Shelton.
Do you think they're okay?
BC?
I guess it doesn't matter. Not really a frog expert, more like a frog enthusiast. I really like frogs. This is a frog. This is a gray tree frog, and it's called a gray tree frog because it's gray. It spends most of its time in a tree.
Really look gray from this
and it's
angle.
a frog.
It looks a little more green from this angle.
Yeah, it does turn green sometimes because what it can do, it's the only frog in Michigan actually that can change its color. So when it's on the bark of a tree, what it will do is try to mimic the same color as the bark. And then when it travels all the way out to where the branches and the leaves are, where it's green, it can change itself into a green color. So it's the only frog in the Great Lakes that can do that. Kind of like a chameleon, but it's a frog. Yeah, so gray tree frogs, they're like other frogs. They come from an egg, they turn into tadpoles, and eventually they grow up and metamorphosize fully into a frog. Now, frogs are amphibians, which means dual life. It means it has two lifetimes, is kind of what the ancient people thought. They said that frogs were so different from the time that they were just a small little egg all the way until they grew into adults that it seemed like it had a double life. So when frogs in the right season have to lay eggs, the females will go out to a pond, usually a vernal pond. Vernal means springtime. So it's a pond that only lasts for a few months. So that's kind of a great survival strategy because frogs know that if the pond only lasts for a few months, then there can't be any fish, no fish inside of that pond at all, which means the fish can't eat the eggs. So other things might eat the eggs, but not fish. So she goes there and she lays her fertilized eggs in the pond, and then she goes away. And there's a big ball, a big sack full of eggs in it, not like chicken eggs with shells on them, but little tiny eggs that have a membrane on the outside, kind of like an egg white, and then they have a yolk in the middle that can be different colors. It could be green or it could be black, but super small. And inside of there is a little tiny baby frog. And what it does, it starts to develop a tail, a flagellum. And as soon as it gets big enough, it starts to swim around in that little pond. And then as it continues to get larger and larger, it will eventually start to grow 2 back legs and then 2 front legs. And as the front legs and back legs are growing, the tail starts to get smaller. Some people think that the tail actually falls off, but it doesn't. The tail actually stores lots of energy, proteins, fats, all that kind of stuff. And the frog, the baby frog, the froglet, is using that energy to grow while it is in a situation where it can't eat. It cannot eat because its whole mouth is being rearranged on the inside. And when it's being rearranged on the inside, there's no way it can open its mouth and feed. So the way it's being rearranged on the inside is that its tongue actually has to move around inside of its mouth. Because when it's a tadpole and it's fish, it's going in the water eating stuff, it's a certain way of eating it, right? But then eventually, when it's an adult, most of us know how frogs eat. They shoot their tongue out, grab something, and pull it back in. Well, during this time when it's maturing, the tongue actually is rearranged and it's attached to the front part of its lip here on the inside, and then it shoots it out. Well, now it's captured its food. The food is inside of its mouth, but they don't have the same kind of muscles in their necks like we do. We have an esophagus, and we go, and we swallow our food. I like to eat pizza with old-fashioned pepperonis and mushroom. Anyways, so we eat our food, we use our esophageal muscles, and we swallow our food, and it goes into our stomach. But frogs don't have esophageal muscles. Instead, what they have is they open their mouth, they shoot out their tongue, they catch a fly or whatever else it is that they've decided to eat, and it goes inside their mouth. And when they decide that they're going to swallow, the way they do that is their big bulgy eyes are kind of sticking out of their heads, and they use the muscles to push their eyeballs back into their head and push the food down their throat. Now, we could try that, but since we're humans, it doesn't really work that way. Anyways, gray tree frogs, they make all kinds of noise if they're males. The females don't really make any noise at all. Gray tree frogs, on a day like today where it's a little bit damp outside, it was raining earlier, they'll start calling and calling and calling. And when they call, they usually say 3 different things. One is, if there are other males around, they'll say, "Hey, you! Get away from my tree." Or if there are females around, they'll say, "Hey, this is my tree. I've got a monthly subscription to Hulu and some sparkling grape juice, maybe some nacho chips, and we could have a party." Or the last thing they might do is if there's something dangerous going on, they may call out and warn everyone. But when it gets super, super dangerous, they actually get very, very quiet. So, do you have any questions about the gray tree frog?
I don't believe so. I have a closer picture of a gray tree frog so that we can see what it looks like up close.
Yeah.
How do they stick to things?
Well, that's a very good question. Scientists say that it's not sticky like Scotch tape. It's not sticky like glue. It's something that they think, they call them nanos, I think is what we're saying these days. It's kind of a form, kind of like static electricity, but kind of even more deep than that. They use electrons that they exchange between their skin and the object that they're trying to hold on to. So they're able to form an electrical bond and then turn it on, turn it off, turn it on, turn it off. It's amazing. It's like geckos that you see sometimes.
That's very interesting. I think that's all the time that we have today for our interview.
Okay, the frog just peed all over me and all over my computer, so it's probably time to go.
All right. Thank you for that information. Have a good day. Thank you for the interview, and thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it looks like our time is up for today. So thank you for coming to the wild world. Oh, wait. Shoot, I think we're getting another transmission from Elisha Shelton. Elisha?
We are currently in the frog's lair, and we're trying to escape, but...
Oh no, it's waking up! So sorry.
Run!
Guys, hello? Hello? Looks like we just lost connection again, but our time is up. So thank you once again for joining us on The Wild World. I'll see you next week when we talk about cows, their impact on the environment, and why aliens love them so much.